Season 3, Episode 5, Hockey Talk Show, back-to-back-to-back shows. Welcome in. Lots to talk about here tonight on the program, and we are going to move through things fairly quickly, so I hope you can hang with me. Season begins tonight. In fact, we're about 20 minutes away from puck drop between Toronto and Ottawa. That's a regional tonight. The big main focus, especially here in the States, is going to be this past year's Stanley Cup champion taking on last year's Stanley Cup champion, St. Louis Blues, Washington Capitals. We'll break that down. It is never too late for a signing, by the way. We had a 2-year extension for a player today, so we'll go over that. Will Sidney Crosby be in the lineup? And who will win the Stanley Cup championship this season? I'll have my thoughts. We'll find out what EA Sports NHL 20 thought, and we'll find out who the players think will win a championship as well. All on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. All right, great to be here with you. Puck drop. It's like it's Christmas morning for the hockey fans today. We are here and ready to go. I hope you guys are excited for this season. I'm all excited as hell. Thumbs up on the video if you're watching over at Facebook and YouTube. And if you've subscribed to our podcast, you can do so. Find links to your favorite podcatcher over at hockeytalkshow.com. Make sure you guys rate and review where applicable, mostly on Apple Podcast. It's just the greatest time of year. I love trade deadline day. I love, July 1st. I love the draft. I do love all of the off-ice activities that happen throughout the course of the year. But damn it, I love opening day. Everybody's in first place. There's so much potential. Everybody's excited for their team. Everybody has kind of looked in at this rookie and that guy, and this guy's going to make a difference. And this is Chris Kreider's year. And, this is for sure, Alex Killorn, that's the one, he's going to, stand out above everybody else. Buffalo's finally going to put it together. All the dumb, foolish things that we know is not actually going to happen, but we really think it's going to happen. And it's just kind of nice to all be in it together for once. You know what I mean? Let's hop into some of the day's news here. Darcy Kuemper has signed a 2-year extension with the Arizona Coyotes. I almost just said the Phoenix Coyotes, because in the article that I am looking at over here, and I'll bring it up on the screen for you guys to check out, he's wearing the old school mid-90s Coyotes, the Phoenix Coyotes uniform, which I love so much, which I'm so happy that the team has brought back, even in a alternate jersey fashion. Still, these are one of the sweetest jerseys to me, and I like seeing them every now and again. I really do. I don't think they should go back to them full time, but I like having them around as an alternate jersey. You guys know my feelings on the jerseys. We should be expanding how many jerseys the teams wear. I feel like in the NBA, each team has 46 different jerseys. They got color rush jerseys. They got, hometown jerseys, player nickname jerseys, all that garbage. I love it all. And I would like to see it here in the National Hockey League. By the way, we didn't forget about doing a jersey show. Maybe tomorrow. As we start to recap some of the games, some of tonight's games, some of tonight's action, we can get into some of the jersey talk on tomorrow's show. Let's see here. We got some stuff coming in. Lee cannot wait for the games to start. I'm with you, brother. You're going to watch Caps Blues. Lee is predicting that the Habs will win the Stanley Cup. How about that? Danny writes in, even as a Bruins fan, I think those Coyotes jerseys are the best of all time. I agree. There's just something that's so sweet about them. That was the time. That was what, like 95, 96? Like that was so, it's so captured just the era right there of the time. Darcy Kuemper wearing that. Anyway, so he signs a 2-year extension. Pretty interesting things going on in Arizona. As I talked about on yesterday's episode, Arizona I felt like was pretty good with Kuemper in the backup role, Antti Raanta in the one role, and then they go out and they claim Eric Comrie off of waivers from Winnipeg. So some interesting moves there from the Coyotes here, as it looks like they'll have 3 netminders for a little while here, at least moving forward. I think Comrie is still that, he's the third guy. he's the third guy. He's the, you know, probably going to play most of the time in the minors guy, but he's going to have to go through waivers. So, you know, we have a lot to check out with the Arizona netminders. But Kemper gets the fear not, Darcy. We just picked up the hot prospect goalie off of the waiver wire, but don't worry. Here's your 2-year extension, and we're happy to have you for the next couple of years. Financial terms of the deal were not released. I could probably look it up, but I don't really care enough to. Sidney Crosby will be in the lineup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Alex Galchenyuk, not so sure. Game time decision for the Pens. They start their season tomorrow. Of course, they'll be taking on the Buffalo Sabres up at PPG Paints Arena, which is not easy to say, but they'll be I think they're going to be, are they the national game tomorrow? No, they're not. I thought they were. Crosby practiced for the second straight day today after sustaining that undisclosed injury when he took a shot off the foot from Marco Scandella in a preseason game. Pens coach Mike Sullivan confirmed that 87 will be in the lineup. It's always more exciting when he is. Although I am really, we talked about some of the predictions yesterday. I'm really curious to see what this lineup looks like with Galchenyuk in the mix, because I feel like Pittsburgh's such a huge question mark for me. And I was talking about this yesterday about how if there's a year where they're ever going to fall off, this is the year that the Pens are going to fall off. And I would hate to have to wait a couple of days to really sort of assess that. But right now, Galchenyuk is penciled in on that second line, taking essentially Kessel's role, flipping the number, by the way. He's going to wear 18 instead of Kessel's 81 with Brandon Tanev. And then it'll be McCann and Bukestad and Cahoon on the third line, Anton Reese, Bluger, and Dominic Simon on the fourth line. This all according to Daily Faceoff, which could be wrong and, of course, could change from now until the next day. Let's see here. Who's my pick for Leafs captaincy? Gregory thinks it's still going to be Austin Matthews. I disagree. I think it's going to be John Tavares. I saw an interview with Mike Babcock today where he was talking about Kawhi Leonard coming in for the Toronto Raptors and how Kawhi didn't really say much, but he came in and he changed the culture and he let his actions and his play on the court dictate his leadership. And, I mean, if you know anything about hockey, that is John Tavares to a T. He's not going to say much. He's a robot. He's very, mundane as far as an interview goes. But he leads by example, and he's a hell of a hockey player, and he is an all-around good guy. You can't really say that on Long Island. Here, I might get arrested. Studio door broken down, bunch of Islanders fans on Twitter all angry at me, pitchforks and the whole 9 yards. But the truth of the matter is John Tavares is a great world-class guy. I have had the chance to meet and interact with him on, I feel like we met more than once, but maybe just once. Anyway, he's a really good dude and very deserving of it. I don't think that what Austin Matthews did over the course of the summer, and again, we don't have all the details, a lot of that is alleged right now. I don't think what he did really has an impact on it. I mean, guys will be stupid and do stupid things. I think that him not telling the team was a really bad thing. That was a really bad move. But even with that, if that didn't happen, my pick would still be John Tavares. It would just still be John Tavares because I just think he's a leader. And by the way, I wouldn't even put Matthews in second. I would put Morgan Riley in second. Because I feel like we're all stuck in this Matthews or Tavares scenario, but Morgan Riley has just as much claim to it as anybody else does. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people's argument is, well, Matthews has been here longer and he's been here, he's been a real spark for the rebuild. Well, then what about Morgan Riley, who's been here the longest? And without him, God knows what your rebuild would be looking like if, he wasn't on defense, because for a long time there, Morgan Riley was the only defender that you guys had. So I really think it is a Morgan Riley or John Tavares scenario. And I think it's just the precious thing of keeping your young star in line with, taking your time with it all and making it a tough decision. And, you've got to keep Matthews in a good mindset, because there's already been, there's been arguments and ice time, and Babcock went and visited him in the offseason and they had their conversation. That was last summer. And then this past summer, we found out he went and did it again, so there's a lot of delicate hand holding there. He's on the 5-year deal. I mean, essentially, they're already printing Arizona Coyotes jerseys with Matthews' number on the back, and you don't want that to be a delicate scenario, because God forbid we get to a case where Austin Matthews has to ask for a trade. Dear Lord, could you imagine what will happen? They'll burn Toronto down. They will burn Toronto down to the ground. And frankly, I'm concerned because I know a bunch of people up there, and they're very, very nice. They're very, very nice. So thanks for your question, Greg. I do think it'll be Tavares, and I think Riley will have a second shot there. Adams in Arizona, excited for hockey to be back. I don't think Marner's in consideration for the captaincy. I know that upsets him and his father to say that, but it's just true. And John Tavares has the experience of being a captain before, and not for nothing, but he was a really good captain. Again, this isn't. I'm risking my life here. You guys don't have to deal with Long Island Islander fans. I got to go to the store with them. Okay, I'm going to be, I'm in the mall with them. They're going to see me. They're going to be like, that's the guy who still thinks John Tavares is a good guy. And I'm going to be up on the show one day, all black and blue in the face. So I hope you guys appreciate the big risk I'm taking by saying the truth here. Let's talk about the player poll, because we're about 12 minutes away from puck drop in the NHL 1920 season, and we got to get to that. I know everybody's going to be watching the games, so I don't want to go too far over that. But NHL 20, I always like looking at the NHL 20 EA Sports simulation and who they pick to win the game, to win the season here. They do a full season sim, set up the rosters. They do it all up nice. They do the full, make sure all the stats are there, so on and so forth. And the Boston Bruins are predicted to win the Stanley Cup, according to EA Sports NHL 20. And that's doubly insulting, seeing as that Toronto's Austin Matthews is on the cover. Rob, Jonathan, Eddie over in the YouTube channel. What's up, guys? Thanks for coming in here. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you guys are sharing our shows all around the web. Post them in your favorite hockey Facebook group. We always get big numbers when we do that, so make sure you guys just take that post and boom, put it right in there. Whether you're in Buffalo Sabres Mafia, whether you're in NHL Red Light, wherever, there's a lot of great Facebook groups. Take our YouTube link and put it over there on your favorite Facebook hockey group. I certainly would appreciate that. So EA Sports has the Bruins defeating the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup. I will say I do like the Vegas to the finals look. I really, really do. Vegas seemed like they were a bit, I don't know, sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it. Look, it's always hard to return to the finals or have a really good year when you've gone to the finals and lost. I'd love to look up the stat. Maybe one of you guys can Google it while we're on the air here, but I would love to see if anybody, and I'm talking about like modern times, not when there was like 6 teams in the league, but like modern times, if there was ever a team that went to the finals, lost, and then won the final year. I guess Edmonton, actually, now that I'm saying it, the first Edmonton year, maybe. Maybe that Montreal run when they were on top. I'm thinking maybe Edmonton would be it. Edmonton lost to the Islanders in the finals, and then they went on to then they went on to win and stop the drive for 5. So that would probably be the last time. So you're talking about 30 years ago. And I wonder if, see, Eddie's got it. Nice move, Eddie. I wonder if anybody else, I wonder if we could pick any other year that actually happened. So that's what I think Vegas stories is. But I think, you know what? You got Stone in there now. Pacioretty's in there now and comfortable. I really think that Vegas is going to be a fierce competitor coming out of the East. They are going to be, I think, hard to stop. Even though that Central Division looks completely stacked. Coming out of the Pacific, you don't have as much strength there And again, we talked about the question marks of Edmonton and Calgary, Arizona, Anaheim. We don't expect to do too much. Vancouver's a question mark. LA, we don't expect to do too much whatsoever. But I think that Vegas will be atop of that division for sure. And I could definitely see them going to the Stanley Cup final. So I like the EA prediction for that. Boston winning a cup, look, it's possible. I mean, they got Charlie McAvoy under contract. They signed up all their RFAs. They're back again. You know, Char's there another year. This has to be his last year. I thought he looked good last year, but I definitely saw the wear and tear on those tires for sure. I love the locker room. I love the coaching staff. I love the organization as a whole. I like the Bruins to go deep. Winning the Stanley Cup, you know, I'm not so sure. But coincidentally, they do have, obviously, Boston going through Toronto on their way to get there. So that's always interesting. Conn Smythe, according to the EA Sports Sim, goes to Brad Marchand. Let's see here. President's Trophy goes to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And let's see, any other trophies or anything else? They predict that Jack Hughes will win the Calder. Nathan McKinnon wins the Hart Trophy and the Art Ross, but Ovechkin gets the Rocket Richard with 55 goals. So that is according to the EA Sports NHL 20 prediction. The players' prediction now. The players make their prediction as well. And they, let me check some of the comments here. I think it is going to be a good year for the Islander fans, and not a lot of people are putting them in. You know what's funny? I saw, who's the guy? There's some dope. There's a lot of dumb people on the web spouting hockey opinions. But I saw one guy, and he was like, I don't know if the Islanders can replicate their success last year. I mean, they lost Robin Lehner, and they replaced him with Semyon Varlamov. I mean, you're talking about essentially the same guy. Stats-wise, they're pretty darn close. It doesn't really matter who that netminder is because Greiss is still here, and it's more about the system that Trotz implements than the goaltender. So to have a take like that is just pure idiocy, and somebody who just doesn't. There's a thing where people just they just brush teams aside. Like Arizona can't be good this year. No, Arizona could actually be really good this year. The Islanders could be really good this year. The Devils could be really, really good this year. You can't just dump on teams because they've been like. Judging a team on this season based on the last 4 years is the height of stupidity. Yet people still do it in the hockey world. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Lou from VGK Coverage, follow that channel on YouTube. It's a great channel for Vegas Golden Knights fans. I don't know if you saw the part, but I just said I think Vegas is going to go to the Cup final. I think there's a good chance they go to the Cup final because EA Sports has them losing to Boston in the final. But the players were asked, too, who they think is going to win the Stanley Cup this year. And the players unanimously came back, and like all the good players, too, with the Tampa Bay Lightning. All the players, they polled 42 players during the media tour, and about 20 of them said that it's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning that will definitely capture the Stanley Cup this year. The 2018-19 President's Trophy winners, 62 wins last season, despite the fact that they were bounced by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Nobody in the NHL is deterred by this whatsoever. They think the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be back there this season for another run at the Stanley Cup. I got to be honest with you, on paper, the best team that is built. I mean, there's not a weakness on the team. Even the great teams, you're like, I don't know, that fifth defenseman, I don't know, that fourth line center's kind of weak. Like, you can point some holes here and there, some question marks here or there. Where's the hole on the Tampa Bay Lightning? Where's the question mark? I mean, I know I just had that little Alex Horn little dig, but that was just joking around. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I tend to agree with the players here. I think they're going to make it through. Henrik Lundqvist says that he learned a little bit what happened in the playoffs last year, but he thinks that Tampa's going to come hungry for sure. Vegas Golden Knights forward Jonathan Marchessault said the Lightning should be confident this season. He said that he picked Tampa to win last year, and he feels comfortable in doing that again this year. The Lightning did score 319 goals last season, the only team in the NHL to score more than 300 goals, plus their 98 goal differential was 32 goals better than the Calgary Flames, who had the second best goal differential in the league. Nikita Kucherov is back. He won the Art Ross Trophy with 128 points. There is no slowing his game down whatsoever. And they got Braden Point under contract, which I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to do, but they did it. Adam writes in, Patrick Marleau still out, still without a team. Is he done now? I don't think so. I don't think you can count Marleau out until he says I'm going to retire for sure. But I do think that Patrick Marleau will be a mid-season trade deadline addition to a team that's gotten a bet. If a top player goes down, I'm talking about a top six forward. If a great top six forward goes down for 6 months with an injury, you'll see whatever team that is elevate whoever they have on the team and then plug Patrick Marleau into like a third or fourth line role for sure. I could definitely see that happening. By the way, if they can fit it under the cap, which I don't know if they can, but I could definitely see, Tampa. I think the difference, and I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, if you add more at the deadline, you're going to win, because that kind of seems to be the nomenclature in hockey analysis today. They're like, oh, this team had 6 trades. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. It just additions at the deadline don't equate to Stanley Cup success, not whatsoever. But I do think that bringing in a fresh voice with experience towards the end might be able to help the Tampa Bay Lightning all the way through. I really do believe that. I think a Justin Williams would work really good in Tampa. I don't know if he would abandon Carolina, though. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Justin Williams, again, sort of slide into that, late, I'll sign just before the trade deadline so I could play in the playoffs kind of a role with the Carolina Hurricanes, who is actually, I went around and took a look all throughout the league. Their Hurricanes are getting some respect, and even yesterday on this show, I kind of said, like, I got to give it to him. I don't love the team on paper all the way through and through, but I love Rod Brind'Amour as a motivational coach. I really, really do. And I think that their defense is really good. And I think that, again, on paper, their goaltending shouldn't be as good as it was last year, but it was. So, it's something to consider. They're not going to do the Storm Surge this year. They're not going to have Justin Williams in the lineup, but I don't know if they really miss a step, to be honest with you, because like I said, they've sort of taken this Moneyball approach of let's get a couple of points out of this inexpensive player here and a couple of points out of this inexpensive player here, and put Rod Brind'Amour behind them screaming and shouting. And it seemed to really work last year, and a lot of teams weren't ready for it. Do you have speed? Yes. Okay, how many points can you produce? Okay, plug them into the lineup. Like, that's basically their curriculum over there in Carolina. Let's take a look at the matchups tonight and make some predictions, baby. I love it. All right, Ottawa, Toronto about to drop the puck. Toronto comes out firing on all cylinders. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a C on a jersey tonight. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watching any pre-games here, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just comes running out and there's no ceremony, no nothing. And Toronto home opener just, acknowledges that they've named the captain. We'll have to wait and see. Give me the Maple Leafs to destroy the Ottawa Senators. It is not going to be a good homecoming for what's his name over there in Ottawa. The guy, DJ Smith. Not going to be a great homecoming from my man, DJ Smith, coming back to Toronto. I think they get a shellacking tonight for sure. I think the Maple Leafs are all pumped up. I think we're going to see some power play time. And I think that the Leafs are going to take it. Eddie's picks: Sens 17, Leafs 1. That's see that? That's a true Toronto Maple Leaf fan from Canada right there. That is a true Maple. All the Maple Leafs feel the same way. So much positivity, followed up by a lot of negativity. Caps and St. Louis Blues, 8 o'clock national TV game. We saw the rings go out the other day. We showed the rings, by the way. If you missed it, go back to the last episode, season 3, episode 4. You can watch all our old episodes on hockeytalkshow.com or on our YouTube channel for sure. Easy to find it there on the YouTube channel, which links from hockeytalkshow.com. Just click the link on the top right-hand side of the page. We showed those rings off there. Gorgeous looking. I don't know. I got to tell you, I think the Caps are going to come in here and upset the Blues. It's always hard. It's an emotional night. I feel like whenever you're raising a banner, you're always at an actual disadvantage. Team's going to come flying out. The only thing that makes me think that St. Louis has a chance here is they'll be juiced. They'll be playing Gloria, and the Caps are without Kuznetsov because, that's why. Vancouver and Edmonton. Give me the Oilers at home. I like them. I like the Oilers at home tonight. I think McDavid's going to be in the lineup. Actually, we should track that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he played a couple of preseason games, so McDavid should be in the lineup. Kenny Holland is there now. Dave Tippett's going to be there. New coach. Guys are going to want to prove themselves right out of the gate, get off to a good start. Give me the Edmonton Oilers opening up at home, and give me the Vegas Golden Knights against the San Jose Sharks. Why? Because Evander Kane's not in the lineup. Why? Because he's an idiot who pushed a referee in a preseason game that was meaningless. But I like Vegas' team overall. A lot of experience coming back this year. They're fast. Marc-Andre Fleury, need I say more? Give me the Vegas Golden Knights 5, San Jose Sharks 3. Eddie's got Vancouver 5 over Edmonton 2. Caps 6 over St. Louis 5 in overtime. Vegas over San Jose 4-2. Louis over at VGK Coverage. Check out his channel on YouTube. Vegas wins 5-2. Shark fans start to freak out, and it's because they lose their next game 6-3 as well. Rob predicts St. Louis 4, Caps 3. I like these predictions. You think Gloria, Rob, can keep them going? I don't know. I think maybe Gloria puts them over the top. Let's see if Toronto names a captain. Let's see how the Stanley Cup banner raising goes. We'll recap it all, talk about it on the next episode of the Hockey Talk Show. Again, if you haven't hit the thumbs up or subscribed on YouTube, make sure you guys do that. Even if you prefer listening to the podcast or watching on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need the bounce on numbers over there. And follow along with our blog up at hockeytalkshow.com. Enjoy opening night, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks for all the chats and comments, shares and posts and thumbs up and everything else. And I'll see you guys on the next shift.